Hi, everyone, and welcome to AI in Action HR Edition podcast. I'm Anastasia, and as you know, I run Mental Gym, where I help legal professionals to build mental resilience and navigate the challenges of modern work life. Today, I'm really excited to have Peter van Hoof joining us. Peter has worked in HR at major companies across different industries, from consumer goods to retail to commodities. But here what makes him really different. Peter doesn't just follow trends, he spots them before anyone else does. So back in 2019, Peter created something that is called Human Experience Management. And his vision is for what HR needs to become, not just a tweaked version, but what we have now, but something completely new. He believes that the whole traditional HR function needs to be replaced, not just improved. And I feel it's going to be a very interesting discussion, Peter. And this is what we're exactly going to talk about today. How AI is changing everything, about how we work, and what HR needs to be doing, and what the future actually looks like for people in this space. So, Peter, thank you very much for joining me today. And I would like to ask you to introduce yourself because I've done it in a very short way, and it would be nice to hear about yourself in more detail before I
Yeah.
ask you questions.
First of all, Anastasia, and thank you, by the way, for this introduction because it was quite good and to the point. And also thank you for having me, especially when we tried so many times already to put this date in our calendar. So I'm happy that it finally worked out for us to meet. Something a bit more about myself, I guess. And it's a kind of building on what you already mentioned because it's true. Fast moving, retail and commodities is the majority of my work. I stepped in HR like 14 years ago, and I did so after living in New Zealand for a bit, where I also made a bit of a list out of all of the things that I've done thus far, but also what am I good at? What can I do more? What do I like to do? Where do I need to go back for school or university to? And all of that good stuff. And then there was kind of a red thread coming through, and that was working with people and businesses at the same time. And that was a start for me in HR. And it kind of went on from there. I think I'm really happy with where I started with Pepsi and where I am now. Quite a steep learning curve that went on and still is going on, to be honest. On the personal side, I live in Alkmaar, which is north of Amsterdam in the Netherlands. I don't know if my age matters, but I'm 46. I like sports and nature. I have 2 kids. That's, I think, in a nutshell, adding to what you already introduced me with. And also, I think maybe I can make a bridge. I don't know how you want to do this, but make a bridge towards the human experience management piece, which was also one of the things you wanted to ask me on when this started. So this started actually, it exploded in 2019, like you said, but there's been, I guess, 8 years before, because in 2011 I started with Pepsi. Moments in time that I thought, why are we doing this in HR and it doesn't do anything just other than ticking the boxes. There's no measurement, there's no real ROI, if you are able to measure that in the first place. But there's a lot of questions that I had in the sense of did not feel right, and this carried on in every company that I worked for. And in 2019 I decided to put things on paper, also referring to those weak signals that you were saying. There are weak signals like every day, everywhere. The question is, do you see them or not? And I do see them, and that's when I think they are gonna be trends or leading into pivotal moments. I start tracking them up until the moment that I see it coming into play. or it's becoming part of a bigger other thing that's going on, if that makes sense. So connecting the dots for that reason. And in 2019 already there was a lot of things going on about surveys and employee experience and ENPS and I think the mental well-being started because this was all pre-COVID actually. So there was something brewing on the human side. Up until that moment in time, it was just a narrative for what I can say, and then also conformity. So companies performed well-being stuff, put ping pong table in a fruit basket, and putting a dog in the office, and flexible working and all of that. But for me, those are all, let's say, external things that you do to make life better. And I don't believe in that, in the sense that I believe happiness and doing what you love to do comes from within. And that's, I guess, the fundamental of the human experience management that we probably go in a bit more. So in terms of the catalyst, it was all of this together, putting that in that model. I started sharing with people in HR, but also outside HR. But people didn't understand. They thought I was crazy, so I parked it, and I left it there on the back burner for quite a long time, to be honest, until much later. And I think maybe we can touch base on that a bit later in the interview.
Tell me, Peter, I'm quite curious. Why did people think you're crazy? And let me just elaborate a little bit more, because I worked in HR myself. I started my first steps in HR were actually in the Netherlands, where I first studied and then started working before I moved to other countries. And I can relate to what you're saying, right? So it used to be right now, still in many companies, it's still a tick box exercise. Once a year, you have some kind of a well-being questionnaire, and then people say how they feel about themselves, sometimes honestly, sometimes not, and then you don't hear anything. Or maybe you hear a few initiatives, and then next year you fill out another survey and you don't know if anybody follows up or not. And indeed, if you're lucky, you have a very nice office you come to with colors, and it's very nice that you can work in a good office. And then as you say, you're lucky if you have a free fruit basket here and there. Things are changing, I know, but I remember this time. I remember exactly what you were saying and how it used to be. So you described to me what was the catalyst for your idea, but then you parked it for some time. And let me ask you, why people said that you're crazy? Because I can understand, but I'm just curious what other people said.
Yeah, so crazy means essence and a reflection of them not understanding me. That has to do with maybe how I put it forward or present things to people, and try to explain an argument why I say these things or where it comes from. But that's only one side. The other side would be that I think in HR, this is a typical example of we've always done it like this, and it works. And that means where I'm trying to challenge the status quo, other people do not. And I think that's in modern life as we know it, as per today, I guess, is one of the things that is difficult for a lot of people, because if we can make life easy, we should. That's why we're walking with mobile phones in our hands. We order food. You can put on your lights in your living room through your phone, even when you're not at home, because you can do it. There's like multiple examples. So the easier the better. And I think also in HR, the easier the better. So if we can place a band-aid, like you said, on, do an engagement survey and ask people how they feel about X, Y, and Z. Okay, then it's the band-aid. We place the band-aid. We know a bit more. And then to your point, do we do something about it or not? And I think a lot of companies don't even do whatever they need to do because of it.
Yeah.
Of the results. So.
Peter, tell me a little bit more about human management experience and what it means in practice, and how does it fundamentally differ from traditional HR, and even more about recent concepts like employee experience.
Yeah, so what I said in the beginning was that I don't like when you pull in something external to fix something that needs to be fixed from within. And I think that's the core difference with HR versus HXM, in my belief, because HR is just put it bluntly, ticking boxes and do the succession planning, do the performance management, do the L&D, do the recruitment, do the all the HR admin and all of that good stuff. And I think in my model, everything comes from within, but then, and I mean within the person, the employee, right? And from within the organization. And it's all built around, I guess, self-awareness and I guess reflection and growth. Those three things. And that's actually fully fundamented by AI. That's the funny thing, or the ironical stuff, or the ironical thing around this, because a lot of people see AI as a daunting something that's going to take our jobs and what have you. I thought so too in the beginning, to be honest, but I soon changed my mind, and now I see it as a full amplifier of what it means to be a human being, or in this case, an employee in the workplace. So, if you talk about recruitment, for example, it's going to be, for me, it's going to be all around skills-based matching versus, so on the people side, and then on the organizational side, there's competency mapping, which then need to, meet in the middle if you do it correctly. So you can join up people's objectives from their role, and I'm not even talking about from a personal side, but from a role point of view. You can connect those to your competency needed in your company to be future-proof going forward. Simply because we live in a crazy world, I think, right now, with a lot of things happening, a lot of moving parts. So a company needs to get ready for whatever is coming next. So the bottom line and answer to your question is, it's gonna be, HR is gonna be way more human than ever before, and AI is the enabler for that.
Interesting. That's a very interesting thought, because lots of people think otherwise. I do believe what you mentioned to me. I do believe that a lot of things come from within, right? Because there are a lot of external things that can make our life easier and even happier. I believe in that. But fundamentally, it comes from within. I'm quite curious to understand, how would you stimulate people to do that? Because sometimes working in HR myself and being a psychologist, I completely agree with you. But what I see sometimes is, how do you motivate people to? Because it's much easier to say something, I'm not happy because of external events, and then you just take off the responsibility.
Yeah, now that's a very good question, and one of the key things that you need to think of when it comes to the HXM, because it's not like it's not done in one night or one day. It's going to take time. The point is that there's a couple of ways of doing this. So you can force it upon your population, but I don't recommend that. I think bring it in a soft launch kind of way. And again, I'm talking I don't know, 5, maybe 3, but 5-10 years from now, that this will be fully the new normal.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a people transformation piece of this, and that probably would mean starting with small steps, which I'm currently starting to do within my own company, the company I work for. Because I want to learn, going from A to Z in one big jump, it doesn't work like that. So small steps, but keeping the end result in mind. So don't start building just because of building. You need to know what you're building and what this little piece is, what the part of this little piece is in the bigger picture, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then in my model, AI is so important. You need to demystify what AI is. So it means not only from a technical point of view explain what it is, but also how people then would redefine their own current role implementing a form of AI as your almost digital twin in your role as is. And that could be on an operational side, making, I don't know, payroll much smoother or more efficient so you have time for other things.
Yeah.
Or if you totally want to redefine and redesign something in your company or for your role, that's a different role. So people need to understand that, people in HR more specifically. And then the last thing is, and that's also coming from the EU Act, I think, on AI, is that people, but also companies, need to make sure that their employees are AI literate.
Yeah.
And those, then the difference towards, AI will take my job. No, and this is, you can read all about this on LinkedIn. People who know how to use AI, those will take your jobs. And for all the rest, yes, there might be 15-20%, maybe a bit more. AI will take jobs in the sense of all of automation that can be done for a lot of HR processes, for example. So my point is, next to the people transformation, there's this urgency creation, because people only move when there's urgency. Remember when COVID came, everybody was on the back of their feet, oh no, and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Now with AI, people might be surprised, or those who are not interested and curious to AI, they might be surprised at what it will do, and then they're too late. So there's some kind of urgency, and that's on the people side, but also on the company side, for the same reason really, because if companies are not doing anything with this, and I'm not talking only HR, it's also in finance and FP&A, risk, compliance, you name it. Yeah, if you're snoozing, you're losing, and that, yeah, it's a choice really, in my opinion. So
Absolutely. Peter, you mentioned that you have a passion for identifying weak signals in people and organizations. And what weak signals are you tracking right now that you think most HR leaders are missing?
now, so that's of course AI and where it is right now, because we're also only at the forefront of things. So it will go much faster than ever before, the whole evolution. But the most important thing is, I think that HR leaders should be aware of this and think about this in the sense of how it can replace a lot of things, if not all, what we are currently doing in HR. That's my perception. There's more futuristic stuff that maybe is too far-fetched for now, but the most important thing is that going forward, also for well-being, diversity, inclusion and belonging, ESG, a lot of that social stuff that we need to think about, psychological safety, it all can be tackled with AI, in the sense of, if you take somebody's skills and competencies as the basis for everything, because that's what HXM does, then yeah, the whole view on people as a resource that we are now looking at basically will change. And yeah, that means mass or hyper personalization. So you, Anastasia, will get a learning curve just tailored for you based on the HR stack that would be sitting underneath everything you do in HXM or HR, whatever you want to call it. Then it becomes a bit technical how you do that, but that's where I think, well, I'm seeing things in that direction. And then more importantly, to my point, and that it's just beginning, there's also changes in what AI can do and how it learns. So the LLMs, so the large language models, I think they will go. I see already people that are much closer to the fire talking about this. For example, there was this Dutch guy who came from the gaming world and made videos on training how to play games, like active, and those things are now being transformed into learning materials for AI to understand the more of the physical world that we live in, because it's written digitally, if that makes sense.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, how interesting. That's an interesting trend I haven't
Yeah,
heard about.
and so I don't know if you would know the word singularity, but that for me is another closer step to singularity, and that singularity means that AI is way smarter than we will ever be. If that's a good thing, I don't know, but this next step in AI development is something, yeah, that's a weak signal. So I'm seeing and try to follow where that's taking us. And then the other thing is, I think because, for example, a lot of tools in AI are working with that skills-based matching, which then means you need to assess people, because AI, people versus AI is basically an unfair game for AI, because we own soft skills that AI doesn't have for now. Talking about innovativity, creativity, empathy, and all that good stuff. So, but also on the recruitment side, you see more and more that direction that is going towards the soft skills, measurement of soft skills, and then determining whether, yeah, if that's a good match with your culture and or job description. So the hyper personalization is already starting, and it will continue.
Right. And in your view, we discussed already that AI obviously is replacing a lot of mundane tasks like admin or perhaps performance reviews, or at least writing a text for performance review. AI can help us a lot with that rather than last minute performance reviews managers usually make. But in your opinion, what aspects of the traditional HR function AI will replace, and what elements will become even more critical for humans to handle?
Yeah. No, so I think it will replace everything in HR, or in any case, provide new roles because of the underpinning in the HXM model as well of AI. So AI will be sitting under the full HR landscape as we know it, but evaporating a lot of what's currently there. And yes, it's HR admin, it's compliancy policies, all that, the factual stuff, but more importantly, it will change recruitment, performance management, learning development, for example, like horizontally, and then vertically, it will change, for example, succession planning. And how it does that is from a technical, it might become a bit technical right now, but you need to build a platform within your company. It's called proprietary AI, which is then fully supported or can be fully supported by sources like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Grok, and build or give them access to your company data. But because right now those LLMs don't have access to your company data, so therefore you need to build a ring-fenced environment where you can pull in all the data from finance and HR, risk, and whatever you want to do. And then you build external or get external tools in, because in my opinion, you need to build a hybrid model of both internal and external AI. And the reason for that is that the tools that I've seen are so sophisticated that I don't think, even if you wanted to, that you can mimic or mirror those by yourself. So that therefore it's inevitable that you get external AI in. And then it depends on, of course, where do you start. So in my idea, there's a tool called Pollenize, that will sit at the front of the chain of horizontal HR stack, supporting then learning development, performance management, recruitment, and then vertically, for example, succession planning. And the reason why is because in the AI model that you build, those things are going to be data lakes within the platform and all connected. So for example, if you come into the company, we decided to hire you based on the assessment that gets done, it automatically gets flipped over to learning and development AI to assess what kind of development needs are there to be, and that's another piece of the puzzle, to be compliant with the role that we expect you to do versus what competencies we need from that person.
Mm-hmm.
Which gives you an immediate, automatically driven learning curve, if you will, from day one. And it can do that indefinitely until you get to the point where you need to be. For example, on, I don't know, strategical thinking, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of that information is also going to be pulled into, by AI, pulled into the performance management cycle. So you know, there's objectives in there. Those objectives, you know, a manager can be coached in searching of how these objectives have been met from a business angle. But
Mm-hmm.
also, if we ask somebody to grow from a strategical thinking point of view, info will then be pulled in from the learning and development tool, in this case Sana, and you pull that into the performance management cycle, and then also have AI give coaching advice or support to the manager when going into consultation with an employee, right?
Yeah.
So that's in a very small example, well, big example, but hopefully
In a short time.
yeah, in a short time, explained in a short time how that might work. The role of, to your point, the role of HR people will dramatically be different because what remains is pure human to human business. And the point here is that below what I just explained, there will be a kind of a coaching person sitting there to understand, to help understand, to facilitate the conversation with this person in terms of their growth. There needs to be someone also, and I think you would call that an HR business kind of partner role right now, but I call it a HR business manager. So that person is connecting the people to the business, but then that person needs to know both. And then there's an HR relationship manager. So that's someone who kind of focuses on the dynamics between organization and people.
Mm-hmm.
And then because our AI is underpinning everything, there needs to be an AI lead, prompt engineer, whatever you want to call it, who can be the missing link between machine and people, and working on the AI tooling that is there.
That's
Yeah, and then the other thing is, of course, payroll, HR, admin, that can all be done fully by AI. So that's how I think how things will work out, and what leaders need to think about, what it could potentially look like. And that's why I said in the beginning, you need to have an end result in mind and then start gradually build to that end result.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I really look forward to these days when we can outsource the process to the machine and keep the human in the human. Because what I noticed in the years of working in HR, and myself sometimes, unfortunately, I went into that mode, is being process oriented and forgetting about the human behind the process.
Yes.
And essentially what AI is doing is letting us do that.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's acting as a mirror, and the reason why I say that, because, you know, when you want to do something like this, it starts with yourself, and that's coming back to what we said in the beginning. It starts from within. So if you are in HR, you want to facilitate this kind of people transformation and business transformation, you as an HR person need to also start from within to be able to pay it forward almost. That's a movie with Bruce Willis, I think it was, but in any case, pay it forward. So if you start, you can pass it on to anybody else, for them to adapt and for you to explain to them why it's so important. And the other thing is, and I've always lived by that principle, guiding principle for me is like, it's kind of the leading by example. So if you show what it can do for you and what it has done for you, it's much easier to put that into practice and behavior and lead by example to show others how that works and how it has impacted your role as an HR person, not only in HR but also going out to other people.
Yes, yeah. Peter, when you speak about this concept, what feedback do you receive from leaders and versus HR people? Because I can imagine a lot of people will be excited about it, but a lot of people will be a little bit intimidated.
Both. So intimidated, yes, but also a lot of people say, more HR people actually, because I've not been so much in front of like leaders, business leaders. But you know, when I check with people after when I record a podcast like this, or I've been on stage in a panel discussion, whatever, I always sense check, you know, did it make sense what I say? And people always say yes, and they understand. But the important part is, you know, I don't want to provide lip service. So meaning that I say something and other people mimic what I say or what I've been discussing or their own views on that. The point is that I think in essence, and that's why I'm doing these podcasts and stuff like that, because my intention is that I believe that if we all go back within the world, and also I think organizations will look a much more happy place. Yeah, so yes, it's accepted. Some think it's a BS, but those are the people that are not so much the early adapters or the innovators. Those people need to watch out, by the way, in my opinion, for it to affect their roles. Yeah, and I think still across the board, people still think that AI is not so big and not so important. I can tell you, if you look at the adoption rate of internet and mobile phones and how long that took versus, for example, the adoption rate of ChatGPT, it's crazy. So everybody who says it's not going to have an impact, yeah.
But it's true. It's true. It's our attitudes. They take time to change, of course. Especially, I can imagine people who are in HR right now. They're a bit of an older generation, right? So, of course, the generation who actually lived without mobile phones, including myself. So I remember those times. And but when it comes to younger generation, they are already on it. Yeah. So
Yes.
I think the change it may take another 5 or 10 years, but once we have our fully digital generation in the workforce, fully in the workforce and in leadership positions, this is when the change is going to be quite fast, in my opinion.
To your point, younger people are way tech savvier than loads of other people actually already in the workplace. So there will be also, if you're not busy with this as an organization, there will be discrepancy to the labor market too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right. So I believe I asked you quite a few questions, and I would like to wrap up our conversation with a bit of a interesting question. So, if you would like to eliminate one practice or mindset from traditional HR immediately, what would that be and why?
Yeah, I prepared that question because I knew you were going to ask it, of course. So
Of course, I would ask that.
You know, people bathe in to-dos, people bathe in emails, the I am busy mindset, which for me is kind of a victim role. So that's one. Let that go and instead find out why you are in a.
I think, Peter, you are on mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I think somebody's calling me.
Right, that's why. It's the most interesting question as well.
Wait.
Sure.
Is it better now?
Yes, it's better now. So if you don't mind starting with the beginning, from the beginning, because obviously, you know, I would ask this question, and I'm sure there is more than one thing that we would love to eliminate from traditional HR. But let's go for one thing.
Yeah, let go is one of those baiting in emails. I'm so busy, ticking the boxes, and think you've done a good job because you were able to place the tick in the box. But actively think about why you're in HR. And I remember when I entered the company on an interim basis, I had an introduction talk with the team, and one by one I asked them why they were in HR. And there was one person, she said to me, because I have a heart for people. That's why I'm in HR. And I said, please, whatever you do going forward in your career, but please keep that close to your heart, because that's going to take you a long way. The point is, because that's, I think, a good mantra for people to be in HR, is to make sure that people can be their utmost best, I guess. But please be interested in what sits below of human beings and why we do what we do, because there's a lot of things that I think, yeah, if you don't understand that, it's pretty damn hard to do your job in a proper way. And that's exactly why HXM is going to be there, because it's going to unravel us as human beings. So yeah, get out of the victim role, change your mindset, be curious, find out about yourself, find out about what are the trends and where things are going, and then anticipate and create something beautiful for you, because it's you and your authenticity that wants to shine through. And I think that's key.
Very nice. It's a very nice way to finish our podcast. Very inspirational as well, and very honest. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate. For our viewers, this was Peter van Hoof. Where you will see our podcasts right now on LinkedIn and on our website and on YouTube as well. I will put all the links down there. So follow us, listen to us, like and comment. Thank you very much.